I want you to get over this notion that I find so annoying that so many people have, that success and power in life is dependent on something like genetics. Like some people are born with a larger brain, or they have wealthy parents who are able to send them to the right school, or it's all a matter of luck. What really makes people successful and powerful in life, and it's not just me saying this, I read hundreds of books on the subject. What makes people successful is their degree of motivation. Okay, I could repeat it 100 times, but it's true every time I say it. When you are motivated, when you feel yourself emotionally engaged in the subject, you learn faster. You learn what could take somebody 10 years to learn, you can learn in 2 years. When you feel emotionally engaged with something, you're able to push past all the obstacles.
If you're in a job and you have a toxic colleague or a toxic boss, if you can get away from them, if you can quit your job, if you can move to another part of the office, do it, because it's worth it. It's not worth collecting $10,000 extra a year with this boss, because it's going to damage you emotionally. It's going to take you years to recover. So if you can, quit the job. No job is worth that kind of abuse. It's going to hurt you. It's going to damage you. And the same in a relationship as well. If you can't get out, you have to develop a habit of detachment and not taking things personally. And oddly enough, when people sense that in you, like a toxic person senses that they can't push your buttons, it has a powerful effect on them. I'm not saying it's going to cure them, but they thrive on the ability to push your buttons. To see you getting upset and angry makes them so excited in a perverted way.
I don't want to be one of those writers that writes a boring book. And stories, if you tell the story well, it's impossible to bore your audience. You tell it in a way where you kind of lure them in by not telling them where you're headed. There's going to be a surprise, a twist at the end. I'm going to tell you the lesson to be learned, and it's not necessarily what you think. The people you think are the people being conned in the game end up being the con artists. That's from the 48 Laws. So I'm going to surprise you. And by doing that, I lure the reader in slowly into my way of thinking, into my world. So now you're ready to consume a 600-page book with a lot of information, but it doesn't weigh you down, because I'm trying continually to entertain you and tell you stories. And stories are what keep the mind engaged. And I tell writers a lot of times, that's what you're missing in your book.
Napoleon had this idea to the effect of, if I appear every day at the theater in Paris, people don't respect me. Oh, the king is the emperor's there. Okay. But if I only show up at the theater once a month, it becomes an event. And people start talking about me and thinking about me. So use absence sometimes, because we have this wrong impression that presence, being constantly present, is what makes somebody kind of fall in love and want us. But actually, it's a step of absence that creates that. If in like a love situation, if you don't return the phone call right away or the text, and a day goes by, they start to think about you. They start to wonder about themselves. And in that process of thinking about you, they start fantasizing and wondering. And that's the powerful position that you have if you use absence.
Assume formlessness, which is law number 48. And that's all about kind of being fluid and adapting to circumstances and never having like a concrete form. It's a very military law. It comes from Sun Tzu. And like the perfect army doesn't have a form. You can't figure out where they are, what their strategy is. Their strategy has no form. Or the great swordsman Miyamoto Musashi said that, nobody ever knew what my strategy would be. I was completely formless. So it's a way of being very fluid in life and very open, and never doing the same thing twice, and adapting what you do to the circumstances around you.